My name is Ben Nowell. I'm the Director of Patient-Centered Research for the Global Healthy Living Foundation, Creaky Joints. My role with the organization is to make sure that we are including patients in all of the research design, the implementation of research, dissemination of findings from studies that we're doing out to the broader patient community. It's a great role for me. It's very exciting because I get to learn a lot from our patient community as we go, at the same time as learning about all these innovative research findings that we work on, both within our own organization and in partnership with academic medical centers. So two of the abstracts I want to talk about today. The first one, we did a study with support from the Rheumatology Research Foundation in collaboration with Yale, specifically with Dr. Liana Frankel, rheumatologist and epidemiologist from Yale. We wanted to study shared decision making for patients with rheumatoid arthritis. So we surveyed more than 1,000 patients with RA, and we used something called conjoint analysis. So essentially patients were able to look at different characteristics of medications and to determine what their most important values were about these different medications. So they weren't looking at real medications in terms of a particular brand name or product, but they were looking at different combinations of characteristics or features of these different medications. So it included features like the time to onset of action, basically how long it takes a medication to start working, the cost of a medication, the side effects, sort of troublesome side effects like headaches or nausea, and more serious adverse events like a serious infection, mode of administration, so is it to require a needle or is it something that can be taken orally? So a whole range of these kinds of characteristics for different medications to get a sense of how patients clustered together, if different groups of patients tended to value different features of medications differently. And what we found is that patients clustered into 5 different groups. The whole goal of this project is essentially to develop a tool that can be used for shared decision making. That will be a simple tool, something that's time-saving to the physician and the patient, so that when they're in the clinic together, that tool could be used to have a conversation about different treatment options for RA at a time when a patient is considering escalating their treatment. Right now, where we are in the project is we're piloting the tool itself that we developed, and the tool basically spells out what those 5 different clusters of values are for patients, and then makes a sort of a recommendation about what medication might be preferable for that particular patient. The other project I'd like to talk about is Arthritis Power. So Creaky Joints, our patient community, in collaboration with academic rheumatologists at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, developed a patient-powered research network. This is supported by the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute and part of a larger network of networks for research called PCORNet, or the National Patient-Centered Clinical Research Network. So we're one of 33 networks that are part of this PCORNet initiative. And one of the abstracts we have here at ACR this year looked at some characteristics of patients who complete their patient-reported outcomes within the Arthritis Power network using a smartphone, mobile app, or the web-based equivalent. What we found was that without any prompting, without notifications or physician telling them to, about half of the participants within Arthritis Power completed at least one round of the 5 patient-reported outcome measures that we have within Arthritis Power. We found that another quarter, about 26% of patients, completed it at least twice. So we have longitudinal data on about a quarter of our participants so far. The default measures that we use in Arthritis Power, the PROs that we collect, 4 of them are part of the PROMIS system of measurement. So we have pain interference, physical function, fatigue, sleep disturbance. And then we also include the RAPID-3, which is an MD hack. And we found that again, about a quarter of patients were very interested in doing this on multiple occasions. We found that the patients who were most likely to complete the assessments over time tended to be people who were also taking a DMARD for treatment and also had a Twitter account. So these are people who are already engaged somewhat on social media. So the lesson for us is determining how do we engage the rest of the group within Arthritis Power through notifications, through reminders, to get everyone involved with this longitudinal data collection for Arthritis Power. At Creaky Joints and the Global Healthy Living Foundation and me personally, patient-reported outcomes are a very important tool for the patient to be able to share what they are actually experiencing day to day, week to week, as they manage their own condition. We feel like this is an excellent complement to the sort of objective measures that physicians do within a clinic, lab results, and so forth. And we don't just believe it, we know from evidence that often these measures can reinforce or confirm what physicians see and might also signal some changes that are happening before they're able to be captured in other ways. We also believe and feel very strongly about patient-centered research. And that means that research is driven by the kinds of research questions that patients have. What information do patients need to help them make better healthcare decisions, to feel like they're informed decision makers when it comes to choosing treatments and working as a partner with their physician around shared decision making. The kinds of projects that we're involved with for research reflect the values that we have and the principles that we have as an organization in making sure that patients feel empowered and have the information they need to really engage in that shared decision making process.